At the time of the outbreak of the Civil War in the spring of 1861, the US military was divided between two schools of thought on how to approach warfare. At the head of the first school of thought was the iconic French military leader Napoleon Bonaparte, or at least Napoleon as interpreted by one of his staff officers, Antoine Henri Jomini. Because of Napoleon's military accomplishments, French military practice was considered the most advanced in the world in this era. That is why a 105-page summary of Jomini's Treatise on Grand Military Operations was mandatory reading at West Point until 1832. Jomini preached the value and virtue of the military offensive. A general who wanted to win a truly decisive military victory, like Napoleon had done many times, must take the war to the enemy. That offensive would achieve success by cutting the enemy's communications, turning the flanks of the enemies, or, if all else failed, making a concentrated frontal assault on the enemy defenses. Jomini did acknowledge that the offensive was more costly in lives lost in the short run, but since it promised more decisive results, ending the war quicker, it would save lives in the long run. In European conflicts leading up to the American Civil War, almost all tactical experience of major national armies seemed to bear out Jomini's teachings. Examples of this could be seen during the Crimean War, with the French and British attacks at the Alma River in 1854. As well, in 1859, during the Italian Wars of Unification, the French had used headlong attacks against the Austrians to gain great victories. Battles like those were enough to convince American pre-war officers that the offensive was key in war. The reigning American tactics handbooks, such as Winfield Scott's Infantry Tactics, published in 1835, and William Hardee's Rifle and Light Infantry Tactics, published in 1855, borrowed heavily from Napoleonic sources, and stressed the virtue of quick, aggressive offensive movements on the battlefield. Winfield Scott had put his teachings in practice during the Mexican-American War. He drove an outnumbered American army straight through the gates of Mexico City on the momentum of a Napoleonic-style campaign.